Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm going to start out with my bag of words to see what I'm inspired to share. All right, let's see. Oh boy, I got like 4 words. All right, I guess I'll take them all. This was the first one that fell out, so we'll go with that one. Just fell out of my hand. Frustration, hope. All right, let's see. Love and regret. Interesting. Okay. So, let's start with regret. Regret is something that we're going to feel if we allow ourselves to get frustrated. And when we don't follow what we feel is right for us, we find ourselves feeling frustrated. We're feeling frustrated with ourselves, but usually we think we're frustrated with the circumstances and the people around us that are in the dynamic with us. But the reality is that underneath all of it, we're really frustrated with ourselves when we don't show up for ourselves, when we are not living in alignment with what feels right to us, or we're trying to fit in or do what's right, or what we've been taught makes sense, or what we think is going to bring us success. And when we're thinking along those lines, we're going to find ourselves feeling frustrated because we're leaving a part of ourselves ignored. And when we abandon that part of ourselves, we leave it ignored, right? We're going to end up feeling frustrated. And in that process, we're going to end up feeling some form of regret. I mean, we can feel regret for many different things. This is just what's coming to my mind in this moment. But regret, it's following something that, right, we kind of wish we hadn't done when we look back in hindsight. And, as we move forward in life, we reflect back and say, why didn't I do that? Or why did I let that, consume me, or so forth, right? We can ask ourselves a lot of questions down the road, and we find ourselves then feeling regret for what we didn't do, think we should have done, and so forth. But when we get into that space, right, shoulda, coulda, woulda, we're going to find ourselves feeling more frustrated. And in that space, right, our hope is going to deplete. We're not going to feel so hopeful about things, because we're stuck, we're stuck in that frustrated space, and we're going to feel more depleted, more angry, more irritable, and so forth. And we're going to find ourselves, gravitating towards maladaptive behaviors because we're feeling frustrated, our hope is low, and we're not feeling, good inside. So what do we do with all of this, right? We want to take a pause. Right? Whenever we find ourselves feeling yucky in any way, we want to take a pause, and we want to take a look at, what's going on in that moment, just even what we're thinking. And then we want to ask ourselves, is this really 100% true? Am I really on the right track here? Or is there something else? And sometimes, that answer may not come to us easy, or we may get a quick answer, but that could also be the surface level answer. Sometimes when we meditate on that question, we get a deeper answer. In other words, we can see something more about ourselves that we haven't really been looking at or willing to acknowledge, right? But now that we're asking the question, we're going to get answers, or we're going to be more open to receiving answers. And this allows us, right, to create a shift from that space, and not to just leave ourselves feeling frustrated or ignoring it, or just repeating the story in our head as to why we're frustrated, as opposed to looking at what we're really frustrated about. In other words, right, we can just go on and on about what we're frustrated about in the external world, but we can actually pull back from that and look at what we might be feeling frustrated about internally, and what we can learn about that, so that we can start making a shift and not staying stuck in that space. And the other word that I got out the bag was love. So love, in relation to this, makes me think of loving ourselves. Now, it may seem unrelated, but when we create a practice of self-love, we tend to start building a good feeling within ourselves. And that good feeling doesn't really allow us, right? Or doesn't allow us to be so comfortable with feeling frustrated and just staying in that space. In other words, when we're loving ourselves and we're feeling better inside, we're not going to just want to hang out in a space where we feel frustrated, because now this area is feeling depleted and it's not going to feel comfortable. So we're going to want to subconsciously want to bring ourselves back to that space, right, of feeling good about ourselves. And self-love is a practice. The other thing I think about when it comes to love, right, it's that divine love that lives and breathes through us and supports us. And when we remind ourselves of that love, right, that walks beside us, lives and breathes through us, is all around us and is omnipresent, we also tend to feel better inside, and again, not really feel so comfortable with hanging out with the frustration. In other words, now we don't want to be in a frustrated or a space of regret continuously, or as we would in the past, because there's something else there's another part of us that, right, wants to feel good. And usually it's when we're loving ourselves or reminding ourselves, right, that there's this divine love that lives and breathes through us and that we're not walking alone. And we, subconsciously, right, internally are looking towards gravitating to that feeling and to that space, as opposed to frustration and regret, which feels yucky. So before I go any further, actually, I do want to pick a card. I'm going to choose this deck. I shuffled two of my decks, but I'm going to choose this one, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the card on top is this one. Let's see what it says. Oh, it says, your best is changing all the time. Your best will depend on whether you are refreshed in the morning or tired at night. Your best will be different when you are happy as opposed to upset, or healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Okay, beautiful. So, it's interesting that it says your best will depend on whether you are refreshed in the morning or tired at night, right? And what this ultimately means, right, is, yes, and it makes me think of self-love, right, or the divine love. When we take time to practice, right, self-love, or to remind ourselves, right, of the divine love, then we are gonna feel more refreshed. That's the word, right? We're going to feel more refreshed in those moments, and those moments are going to feel good. And which is interesting, because then it ends, right, that, right, we'll avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret, which is ultimately what I was saying, right, that when we're practicing these things, then we're going to have less regret, because we're not going to hang out in a frustrated space, right? We're going to challenge ourselves. We're going to invite awareness in, and we're going to start shifting the tide. And once we start doing that, then we're just going to feel, right, different. We're going to seek for something different. We're going to want to feel more in alignment with our soul and less in that yucky space. And it does affect our energy too. It's like when we're feeling good inside, we have more energy. And when we're feeling more frustrated, we tend to get tired faster. And even, sometimes it can seem like we have a lot of energy because, when we're angry, it's like, we feel more like, I'm gonna, whatever, like I can take on the world. But that's not, lasting energy. That's energy that kind of comes on a high and then leaves us depleted. Lasting energy comes from feeling good within. And so then that's something that we have to cultivate. So these are practices that we do to cultivate this good feeling within ourselves. And we do simply want to do our best. We don't want to push ourselves or beat ourselves up, mentally when we don't, do the practice. So we want to remember to be, gentle with ourselves. That doesn't mean that, we slack because we're gentle with ourselves. It means that we say to ourselves, it's okay, I forgive myself. And then we get back on it, right? We get back to the practice. So it's not like, it's okay, I forgive myself, I don't have to do this. It's okay, I forgive myself. In other words, I allow that part of me to exist. And then, I get back into the direction that I know, right, it's going to make me feel better and that I want to be in. So it's that knowing and moving in that direction. But without the, you're a bad person, you always do this, you're no good, without that inner dialogue that is critical and abusive. because that too is going to leave us, right, feeling regret. And so that's where we don't want to go. We don't want to hang out there. If we do find ourselves going there, we want to make a U-turn and bring ourselves back to where we are going to feel that love that's going to balance us and bring us that lasting positive energy within ourselves, because it's replenishing us and creating a positive change for us, as opposed to an old repetitive pattern that is depleting and exhausting us. So interesting that we should get this card. Well, I'm going to end with that. I hope that this video helped you in some way. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to find out more about other things that I have available, you can check on my website and the description. The information is down in the description below. All right. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.